Welcome back. This is ADWCTA. You are watching or listening to the Lightforge podcast card review for March of the Lich King. We are getting so close to the end. We are a Warlock. I'm going to preface this by saying the best card of Warlock is an A+ card. We always get questions of what is the best card, right? What is the best card? And the best card, what is the best class card? And we already know what the best class card is. It's that Paladin, Dragon Discover plus a free 5/5 Dragon Mana Thirst card. We went over that. Flight of the Bronze. No questions asked. But what follows after that, when it comes to the class cards, is your A+ cards, which are really good. And we just went over Noxious Infiltrator a little bit ago from Rogue. That's the 2/5 poisonous for 4 mana that also potentially assassinate. But there is one more A+ card, and Warlock has it. I wouldn't say the overall package of Warlock is great, but this particular card is, oh my god. You're going to look at it and just think, why does this exist? And like Noxious Infiltrator, it's also a rare card. It is Twisted Tether. Not Twisting Nether, Twisted Tether. 4 mana shadow spell. Destroy a minion. That's where the card should end. But it doesn't end there. The card then goes on to say, because remember, Assassinate is 4 mana and it destroys a minion. Twisted Tether is 4 mana, it destroys a minion, and give its stats to a random undead in your hand. So in addition to destroying a minion, and remember, you don't even need an undead in your hand to destroy a minion. That part is unconditional. If you happen to have an undead minion in your hand, though, it gains the stats of the frickin' hard removal. What are you hard removing? 8/8, a 6/6, a 5/5? Who cares? You get an extra 10 or 12 or however much stats in your hand that you could probably play the next turn, if not the same turn. I don't know what else to say about this. It does have to be an undead minion, so you do have to have an undead in your hand. You will probably have an undead in your hand, and if you have this card, you will be sure not to play the freaking undead in your hand. You will have at least one undead in your hand at all times until you play this card, because it is that swingy of a card and that good to have this ability trigger. But it is a little, you're not just getting a free 5/5, right? This isn't Flight of the Dragon or whatever, where you get a free 5/5 with Taunt. Here, you have to synergize with an undead in your hand, which is not a hard condition to fill. But it is a condition. Okay. That's Twisted Tether. It's completely ridiculous. And you're going to have to deal with it. Just a guaranteed swing. I mean, a not guaranteed swing, but easy to fulfill condition swing. The second best card from Warlock is a B tier card, and it's another rare card. So again, these are not common cards. And it's only a B tier card, so you see the drop off already. And it's Savage Yamir Jar. Savage Yamir Jar is a 5 mana 7/7 rush. That sounds really good. But Battlecry, discard 2 cards. Discard 2 cards is rough. It's rough. There's no way about it. It's a B tier card. I think back in the day, it was like a 5/7 rush with Battlecry, discard 2 cards, or maybe that was charge. But now it's a 7/7 in the modern era, and yeah, it is a B tier card. It's also an undead. B tier cards are better than the average card in your deck. This card is still very good. Just want to make that clear. Don't let the discard 2 cards thing totally throw you off. But it is a thing. It is a thing that you generally don't want to happen. And that price does put a dent in this otherwise really, really, really good card. Okay. After this, there's a C+ card that is common. And that one is Walking Dead. We're just going to do the common cards right now, actually. So from the best to worst of the common cards, which are not as good as those 2 rare cards, is Walking Dead, C+, 3 mana, 2/5 undead taunt. If you discard this minion, summon it. I mean, 3 mana, 2/5 taunts are undead, are like super good for warlocks. And as you see, there are discard synergies. You'll see there's more discard synergies, and you may get discard synergies from core or the other class cards that are being brought in. So this is not a pointless text. And if you discard it, summoning it, getting a free 2/5 taunt is pretty damn good. Next up, common card is Infantry Reanimator. Infantry Reanimator is a 6 mana 4/4. Battlecry, resurrect a friendly undead, give it reborn. You gotta have a friendly undead, random, so you better hope at least some of the friendly undeads that you could trigger is of a decent size or as death rattles. And then it gives it reborn, so it gets even bigger. It's like unplayable without a random undead though. Like it's a 6 mana 4/4. You gotta make up for it by having a decent size or like a good shot at a decent size undead that has already died on your side. So it's a little situational. It ends up just being a bag of stats, and the stats is RNG whether how good it is. So it is a C. The numbers do work out kind of in its favor, but there's a lot of randomness, and you do have to set it up. Finally, the other common card is Scourge Supplies. 3 mana, draw 3 cards, choose 1 to discard. This one's a D+. It's like Arcane Intellect, but like a little better, because you get a little choice of which one you don't want. But you're also in Warlock, where drawing cards just isn't as important because of your hero power. So, I mean, Arcane Intellect isn't good. This one's better than Arcane Intellect, but it's in Warlock, so it's a D+. After this, there's also some cards that are, even worse. Amorphous Slime is a D. Amorphous Slime is an epic card, 5 mana, 5/3. Battlecry, discard a random undead, death rattle, summon a copy of it. Good synergies with those undeads that you want to discard, like the Walking Dead, but otherwise it's a 5 mana 5/3. So you need the undead, right? Like to be summoned later, or else this is a super terrible card. And that undead has to be of a decent size to make up for the fact that this is understated. It's hard for it to come together, right? And even when it comes together, that undead has to be super big for this to be like a positive thing, rather than just kind of like holding it together and being okay and playable. So this is a D. A lot of setup, not a lot of reward. Alright. Next we have even worse cards. Soul Barrage. This one's an F+. 5 mana shadow spell. When you play or discard this, deal 6 damage randomly split among all enemies. 6 damage randomly split among all enemies is bad. It's terrible. It's not worth anywhere near 5 mana. But if you can discard it, it just gets to be free damage, then it gets to be pretty good. So it's almost entirely a combo card. And then finally, Shallow Grave. Shallow Grave is an epic card. 2 mana, trigger a friendly minion's death rattle, then destroy it. I don't know what you're casting this on. It's clearly some kind of combo card. Do you have that other combo piece? Almost certainly not. It's F. It is not. It is not going to work in Arena. So that's Warlock. There's the main thing they're trying to do with Warlock are these like discard synergies. And I don't think the cards are good enough for the discard synergies to like really work out, but you'll be able to pull it off here and there. Like there's just kind of normal discard cards in Warlock. And these cards are, some of them are draftable and playable. So they're like little bonuses. And for Warlock, most of what you're doing is with the hero power anyway. So maybe the little bonuses are enough to keep the interest. But the big one, the big super good card, is the Twisted Tether, and that's just a bomb. Big swing, hard removal, all there. All right, let's look at the legendaries. First legendary, Devourer of Souls, 1 mana, 1/3 undead, already pretty damn good. After a friendly minion dies, gain its death rattle. Okay, so how many can you really time your friendly minion death rattle like deaths with this card? It's probably not, even if you do have the synergies, it's going to be hard to. But if you do get it done, that's really good. Like for a 1 mana card to gain an extra death rattle of, who knows what the death rattle is, right? Like maybe you summon a 2/2, maybe you draw a card. Like that's huge for a 1 mana 1/3. So this comes out to be a B. It is actually quite good. Like that ability is worth something because in the event that you do get it to trigger, and you could trigger it as many times as you want to if you have more abilities. And if you do get it to trigger, it's kind of gaining insane value for a 1 mana card. And the other legendary card is a Darkon Drathier. Darkon Drathier is an 8 mana 6/6 undead with lifesteal. At the end of your turn, deal 6 damage to the enemy hero. So at the end of the turn, you gain 6 health, your opponent loses 6 health at the end of every single turn. Otherwise, it's the 8 mana 6/6 with lifesteal itself, so it'll heal you even more, even if it gets damaged or like you're hitting face or whatever. It's a pretty fair card. You're paying quite a hefty price, right? You're paying more than 2 mana for all the life you're gaining and all the damage you're dealing to your opponent. But 6 damage to the enemy hero, that's a lot. More importantly, if they don't kill this thing, that's another 6 the next turn. That's potentially game ending. So you are paying the price in terms of the mana, and you are doing this weird combo of healing yourself and hurting your opponent, which is usually not something you need. You usually need one or the other, not both. But you are getting a lot. Like, how many cards can potentially deal 12 damage? Sorry, not 12. 18, because this thing can attack face too, assuming it's alive. Like, how many cards can deal 18 damage to your opponent's face over the course of one active turn? Almost none. And while doing that, it's healing you up to full. So you're paying the price, but you are getting something quite good out of it as well. So it ends up being a C+. All right. That's it for Warlock. I do not like Twisted Tether as a card in this game. But it's at least trying to do something. Like, I hate the stuff that like Druid or Demon Hunter got, where it's either not trying to do anything at all, or it's trying to do something that clearly just doesn't come together in Arena. This one could. This discard package could come together, and there's an anchor card that's just kind of good, right? Like that is not a part of the package. That's just independently good. And it's Warlock, so the hero power always drives a lot of interesting plays, depending on the meta by itself. So that's Warlock. I think it'll be in a good place in the coming meta. If you remember, and just in the experience of the past couple of kind of weak metas, Warlocks have always done pretty good. And that's because the hero power, like the weaker the cards are, the more important the hero powers are. Warlock has the best hero power, or Demon. So Warlocks are probably going to do pretty good just on the basis of that hero power and this Twisted Tether card, even though it's a rare card, that got added. And that is, yeah. I foresee it as one of the good classes, almost no matter what happens with the rest of them. That's it for Warlock, and I will see you guys for the final one, which is Warrior, coming up next. Till then, this is ADWCTA.